you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. And Cayman Airways, call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And now, Barbados. And Digicel, Cayman's bigger, better network. And Doctors Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctors Hospital, always there for you. Call 949-6066.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
What is on your mind, Cayman? If you are ready to talk, we are ready to listen. Here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome, and thanks very much for joining us as we get a chance to talk about the Cayman Turtle Conservation and Education Center. There's a 5K coming up. I want you to be a part of it. That's going to be our first discussion, 1 o'clock. Going to show our deference to our elderly as we have a discussion with Miss Lucille and crew. And then 2 o'clock, well, 175 years in the making, we'll tell you what it is. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Avoid any statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use indecent language or make any statement that is false or misleading. Call 1-800-534-8255, 949-6990, 949-8037, or WhatsApp us on 925-3261.
Email Talk Today at candw.ky. Let your voice be heard.
And now, back to Sterling Dwayne Ebanks, Radio Cayman Talk Today.
Hey, welcome all. Welcome. They say a little laughter makes the world go round. Is that what they say? Or a little honey makes the medicine go down. Anyway, we know where there's love and laughter, we can find opportunities to learn and come together. And more than ever, this is where we show our unity for our community. Well, I'm honored to have, I still think of it from the days of Mara culture. I still marvel at the incredible research and dedication of the team, like Mr. McLaren and all the good folks over there. So, it's a wonderful facility for all the boys right at Vicksville. But today, marketing and events coordinator for us, Ms. Whitney Foster. Thanks very much for joining us, and Shauna, to you as well. But ladies, it's a pleasure to be a part of what you're doing, and through the education, through conservation, but community involvement, we can join hands and make something better. So, how are you, Ms. Whitney?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you so much for having us and Radio Cayman's continued support of what we do at Cayman Turtle Center. It's really appreciated and it's so impactful. So we're really happy to be here partnering on this again, and happy to see you.
Hey, thank you. I mean, there's sometimes like the country song, it's one thing to be gone but not forgotten, but to be forgotten and not gone. And when people see you, are they happy to see you? And I always feel like, in our presence, we extend a warm welcome invitation. We're family.
Yeah.
We are one.
That's true.
No, it's good that we have this opportunity with much transpiring globally and locally. And this is where just numbers in a positive way can be meaningful.
Absolutely.
So I'm glad that you will spend a few minutes with us and we'll make good use of it. So, you want to introduce your colleague? Make her do it.
Yeah.
She's like, I don't know. And we won't tell her we're on YouTube. Those cameras are just there for show. Don't worry. Or let her do it herself. What do you think?
No, that's okay. I'm happy to introduce Shona. She is our, I'm going to butcher this title. It's Education Officer, Education Programs Officer, and Turtle Release Coordinator?
Yes.
Yeah? Oh,
exactly
I got it.
Wow.
You nailed it.
Yeah. So Shona is a great member of our animal programs and education team. And so I wanted her here with me to share a little bit more on why conservation is so important and why this Turtle Crawl 5K that we have coming up on March 17th is going to be such an important fundraising opportunity for us to fund all of the great work that we do, and especially her team. So she's got the cool facts. I've got the event information.
That must be a song there. She's got... But you know what's exciting about this for me? I've never seen turtles do a 5K. And I'm like, so is that what it's going to be? I mean, I've seen a turtle release before, and are you going to get numbers on them? And is going to have a tag chip to see the fastest? Because we know about, the tortoise and the hare with the race, but an actual turtle 5K, that's awesome.
No, sadly, it's not the green turtles, although turtles have been tracked to swim thousands of miles. So some of them could definitely do it if they wanted to.
So no turtles going to be no turtles will be walking in this race.
No, we might have our mascot out, but no actual turtles will be doing the turtle crawl.
Put Dr. Walt in the mascot suit. That would work.
Yeah.
And if he is resistant, we have a way to influence him.
We can
I'm going to get a
politely
call
ask
like
him,
5 in the morning. He's like, so sorry, my car broke down. I can't make it.
No, we know where he lives. We can bring him in. You just tell us what you need. So, okay, so I've first question I'd ask, were actual turtles? No, so no turtles.
No turtles.
No, and it's a crawl, right? So it's going to be a turtle crawl?
Yeah, it's more of like a fun run event. So you can race if you want, but it's more just do at your own pace, a nice comfortable walk.
I mean, think back. I didn't. I don't. Not I didn't. I don't like nursery rhymes. I never subscribed to that. My friends say to me, "That's why you're not creative," But the tortoise and the hare, and the slow and easy wins the race. So here's a fun way on a Sunday morning, Vicksville. Take that leisure stroll. The breeze just coming over that shore. It's gonna be nice, huh?
Yeah. Most times we've had it, there has been a nice breeze. So fingers crossed that holds the same this time around. But we have people bring out their dogs too, bring their kids, make it a huge family event. So it is a really nice experience for everyone.
And it's one thing. I'm joking, but I understand how some people do this as part of their morning exercise. Others do it because they understand the numbers. Yes, signing up and sponsoring, great. But just showing support through participation makes a meaningful impact. But here is something that we do, as shown as you were sharing. It would help us to appreciate the work of the center. My little, bit of information, as I said at the outset, the world's body of research and information, scientific, accurate, what does it say? Peer-reviewed research has come from the Turtle Center from the early days, and I don't think many people appreciate that the body of work that the world has emanated from that little space right there. That's significant to the academic community.
Yeah, I mean, conservation and education are in our name at the moment, and so they are very important to us. We've been included in over 100 research papers. Yeah. There's constantly research going on. So one of the more recent papers, I think, was published in 2019. And that looked at the DNA of our turtles at Cayman Turtle Center, as well as the DNA of wild nesting green turtles in Cayman. Because for the longest time, we had been releasing turtles since the 80s.
Right.
But they're a very slow maturing species. It can take them anywhere between 20 to 30 years
like
to
men.
come back. Well, maybe, but definitely with other species, they are a very long-lived species, so it takes them a while to come back.
Yeah.
So we would start seeing our results come back around this time. And the study actually found that 90% of the wild nesting turtles in Grand Cayman had DNA related to our turtles at Turtle Center. So that means our turtles are surviving, and more importantly, they're coming back here to breed.
And it shows that the efforts, over these years, some of us can probably remember as school children, not just at the West Bay Primary, but there, and you got your turtle and you go to release it. It may have been symbolic. It may not have been anything more than it was exciting to do. But 40 years later, for instance, here is something in that turtle. And it just warms my heart to know that this small space continues to make a global impact. And that research, like many things, don't get the local sort of play and respect and publicity as it should.
Absolutely. And I think it comes down to just a lot of people don't know.
Yeah.
It's a center that is near and dear to so many of our hearts. I mean, I can't even tell you the amount of times that I went there growing up as a kid for school trips and birthday parties.
Yep.
But it's one of those things that you might not necessarily think about. It might not be front of mind every weekend when you're making your weekend plans.
Yeah.
And so opportunities like this Turtle Crawl 5K are really great opportunities to involve the community and to bring in new members of the community that might not really understand all of the work that the Turtle Center does. It's not just a place that tourists come to have a fun day. It's the animal team and the research team, they put in so much hard work, and that Why We Came Home study that she's mentioning there, that just proves that what they're doing, what they've been doing for the last 30, 40, 50 years, it's working.
And I certainly want to talk about the 5K, and I certainly want you to share as much. And for me, it's not a personal agenda, but if there was to be one, have to be one, it's for us as a community here now to recognize that, like our forefathers who made provision for the future, we today are accused of immediate gratification. They were cathedral builders. They sacrificed, they understood what they were doing, and they were doing that so that we, the grandchildren and the grandchildren of the grandchildren, could have a future. Turtles are slow maturing. The tortoise and the hare, we see the moral of that story, but do we apply it to our daily lives? So like that effort then is paying dividends today. Do we understand the importance of it? Are we willing to apply that across the board? You can't put on the roof of the house before you lay the foundation. At least I don't think so, but maybe that's what people try.
Yeah, a lot of people really understand how important culturally sea turtles are to Cayman, green sea turtles in particular. They are very much the reason we got our first name for the islands, Las Tortugas. They are the reason why our islands were discovered in the first place. But not only that, they're very much important to our health and the planet's health as a whole. They're a keystone species, so they help keep the marine environment in check. So we really rely on them.
It's amazing. I mean, I look at it and I make no apology for loving this place and its people, and any and everyone who comes and wants to partner to do our very best, that individual effort, I draw alongside, because that's good for us. That's what we should do. And yet here we seem to be, the turtle is your symbol, as if it's a bad thing. Well, think about it. It lives long. It's deliberate. It's diligent. It has a strong sense of discipline as to how it's going to go and to get. And you can get into a fast-paced car and zoom, and there whiplash later, you may be at your destination, but you have no clue about the journey. Check the turtle's life. I mean, it's not just crush going through the. All right, when we come back from the break, I told Doc earlier, just sometimes in people's presence, right, you recognize how you feel. It's opportunities like this that we can share and showcase. So tell us more when we come back about the 5K crawl and what we can do. All right, stay tuned for Talk Today.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. I'm going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, Panama, and child, they now have Barbados. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old girl.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
Water Authority is empowering the future and building a legacy in STEM through its annual scholarship program. Applications are now open for the scholarship, valued at up to $40,000, for a student pursuing an undergraduate academic or technical vocational degree or diploma in a STEM subject relevant to the Authority's work. The deadline to apply is February 29th, 2024. Visit www.waterauthority.ky to apply today.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
From boat days to beach gatherings, Leave the catering to Subway. Choose from small and large sandwich platters, double meat wrap platters, and top it off with optional cookie platters for dessert. Or ask about our Subway box to go with the option of 6-inch or foot-long sandwich, 1 cookie, and 1 bag of chips. For all occasions and celebrations, let Subway focus on the food so you can focus on the fun. Visit subway.ky for catering options. Subway. Eat fresh.
Wouldn't it have been grand if you had purchased land 30 years ago? It may not be 2020, but a perfect vision has never been more clear. Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, poised for growth with an eye on the future. Your land, your history, your future. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
The Business Buzz. Each and every Tuesday and Thursday morning at 7:30 a.m. Brought to you by
Cayman Insurance Center, celebrating 45 years in the Cayman Islands, specializing in property, life, and other lines of insurance products and services.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back. And as we talk about the 5K walk around the turtle crawl from the Cayman, I'm actually going to Cayman Turtle Conservation and Education Center.
Correct.
Yeah,
That's it.
I know I say it differently, and that's only out of strong healthy respect for the people there, for the institution that it is, and for what it has done globally. As Miss Whitney and Miss Shona joins us, I'm hoping that people hearing me sort of sing the praises of a body of research, academic research, but that because I know a few students from universities in Florida who were doing either a master's or in one case a PhD dissertation, and information was had from here, not from elsewhere, and it was bar none. Wow, that is amazing.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think it's important to note that, Cayman Turtle Center or Conservation and Education Center, I call it Cayman Turtle Center for short.
That's better than what I call it.
We're like the only center, and Shona will correct me if I misspeak, but we're the only center in the world that does what we do, that works towards the conservation and the release of the green sea turtle. So it's important, and it's very exciting when we have opportunities to collaborate with these international education institutions and researchers, and far and wide, from Australia to Florida. We had a team from Florida this week. It's very exciting, and it just emboldens our passion for this research and this advocacy of the conservation, because other organizations internationally are recognizing our value. And
well, I won't ask you to reply other than if you wish to correct or share your, that's it. But as I look at over the decades what is being done there, the international acclaim, the important body of work that is accumulated in academics, it just shows me two things. One, that this word sustainability can actually be measured, meaningful, and tangible. And just like we have, forestry services, for instance, forgive me, harvesting hardwoods, or maybe trying to, find a different species like cork or bamboo or the grass reeds and to not, get to some of these ones that may be taking a longer time to grow. Here's the Turtle Center, releasing, populating the wild, and yet still being able to do something that speaks to the historical ethos, to the cultural acceptance of meat production, should we want that. And I think that's sometimes overlooked. In one country, they can still do this and be, sustainable in their farming or other efforts. We should too, make sure that our efforts are recognized, because they're really responsible. I mean, you guys do a fantastic job.
Thank you. I think that's just because us as humans, we seem to think that conservation and being sustainable is dependent on bigger corporations because they have more ability to do so. But genuinely, conservation relies on each and every single person in the planet because it impacts each and every single one of us. So just little things like taking part in this 5K, you can have a positive impact on conservation because it directly goes and impacts the sea turtle conservation and ocean conservation here in the Cayman Islands.
Yeah. In addition to sharing with us how we can participate and register and the like, Shona, you shared very early on about how the turtle contributes to a very positive impact on the environment.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe some of us don't really. Well, what does she mean? I mean, I see turtles out there, but what comes out of them? And they eat the grass. So help us to appreciate that.
Yeah. So us as scientists, we refer to all species of sea turtles as keystone species.
Mm-hmm.
Now think of visually keystone species like how you lose the game of Jenga. So all you have to do to lose is pull a block that makes everything fall apart.
Right.
The keystone species is that block.
Mm-hmm.
If you take them out or there's less of them, everything falls apart. Green sea turtles in particular are one of the largest marine herbivores. So they eat seagrass beds, helping keep that as healthy nursery habitats for things like conch and lobster, which I know a lot of Caymanians like eating. So that very much helps us as a people. But it also solidifies our ocean floor from storm surges, which very recently we understand just how important that is. Yeah. They eat algae that grows on our coral reefs, because where algae grows, it starts to smother the corals and kill them.
Right.
So they are very much important to the balance of the marine ecosystem, but also us. 50% of the oxygen we breathe comes from the ocean.
I do recognize it, and people say, well, I thought we were talking about a turtle crawl 5K that's coming up this Sunday, right?
It's all related.
But it's so crucial because we, again, guide me, we're part of our PTA. Or we're just the parents at the school, and PTA is on the fundraiser, cupcakes today. And we buy the cupcakes. We go to attend the PTA fair. And those funds are raised. Back in the day when we used to have books, books for school. We should do that again. We participate. Now, that little contribution, that involvement, you may think is insignificant, but that individual effort makes the schools, the students' success much more possible. The same with here, right, Ms. Shona?
Yes, definitely. So if you come to the 5K, not only does it support our conservation, but let's be honest, it's a lovely view. We walk along Northwest Point. So you have the view of the ocean pretty much for your whole entire walk. So it is a nice, relaxing experience while also having a positive effect on conservation.
Tell us, because I love learning, right? And this is a teachable moment for me. I got to learn. Right? Give us I say route, some people say route. What do you say, Miss Whitney? You prefer the route or the route? The route or the route?
I've actually said both.
I know.
That's one of those funny ones, like everyone's very opinionated about tomato, but route.
I mean, it's route 56, but sometimes you take the route to get to route 56.
Yeah. 66. But anyways, the route for the Turtle Crawl 5K walk run is you start at Cayman Turtle Center at 6:30 a.m. on Sunday, March 17th, and you walk towards the West Bay Public Beach, and you enjoy that lovely calm breeze, and you walk down that Northwest Point Road, and when you hit West Bay Public Beach, you turn around and you walk right back to the Cayman Turtle Center. So it's really just a straight shot. Not a lot of there's not a lot of concern with taking a wrong turn, I guess you could say. But it's also a really amazing opportunity, and we chose that route because it has such a scenic view, so that you can enjoy the breeze, you can enjoy the view of the ocean, and you can really, I mean, this is going to sound a little bit cheesy, but you can see and enjoy what it is that you are participating in and what you are conserving, what you're fighting to conserve, essentially. It's that beautiful ocean, which wouldn't happen if it wasn't for amazing people like Shona and her team fighting for the conservation and protection of our marine habitats.
So Sunday, March the 17th. I know what date today is, and it's a leap year, right?
It is.
It is, yeah.
So you see, even February gets a benefit every now and again, right? without taking away from the other months. See? People can get and give, and others can still receive. Yeah. Nobody loses.
And registration's only $25. So talking about giving and taking, that's just a little, it's a sandwich.
What time of morning is it?
The walk run starts at 6:30 a.m. on that Sunday, March 17th. The walk itself take you probably maybe an hour and a half, depending on your pace. And by 8 o'clock, 8:30 a.m., you could be off to breakfast.
Yeah.
On with your Sunday.
Yeah. Well, I know Saturdays and other days of the week, the breakfast at Schooners and right there, always fantastic. I've enjoyed it. Maybe it'll be open to be a special breakfast in it.
Yes, our entire center will be open. We're going to have our cafe open for early morning coffee, snacks, and pastries. And then as soon as you're done with the walk, the full center will be open to welcome you in and go swimming with turtles, head to Schooner's Bar and Grill for a snack or a meal. And anyone that participates in the turtle crawl will get, I believe it's a 50% discount on entry admission to the center itself. So that's...
And again, it's sort of, if I liken it to other jurisdictions that have amusement parks or whatever they're called these days, right? And they have annual passes for visitors and residents and whichever. You would think, well, why would someone want to go to this space more than once, for a year? But if you live there and you find yourself going maybe 3-4 times for the year, maybe every 6 weeks, we have an annual pass at the Turtle Center as well.
Yes, absolutely. There is an adult annual pass that is only $90 US, and the children's pass, I apologize, I think it's 65, something like that. But that annual pass, it gets you complete access to the center for the entire year. It gets you discounts at the restaurant and the retail store. And I will say that we're really trying to step it up this year and provide more unique experiences. So like Saturdays now, we have a DJ poolside. We've got our pool bar open every weekend on Sundays and Saturdays. So we're really trying to heighten the experience so that when you come, if you're a local and you have that annual pass, every time you come, there's something different. There's something new and exciting. We're doing more family fun days with kid-friendly activities. We're going to do more cultural days where we have all of those traditional tradesmen on site showcasing the thatch rope and the gigs and the conch shells. So it's really exciting time for Cayman Turtle Center, and that annual pass, like now is the time to get it because there's a lot that's going to be happening and a lot of fun family adventures to be had.
And the water slide is still there?
Of course.
I won't make a joke about that, okay? I believe we have to take the break. Miss Shona, when we come back, we're going to, pivot to you.
Okay.
And we're going to share. And I think as we do that, I'm reminded of the seafarers and our parents and grandparents, how they viewed the turtle, how, as you were sharing earlier, they saw and they knew and they understood what research and scientists today are sharing. The importance of the turtle, the way they protected it, in the absence of legislation. They knew. Maybe we should take a fin from them. All right, when we come back, more talk today. Stay tuned.
Discover your dream home with Cayman National's home loan. Get up to 95% financing, repayment up to 40 years, and just a 0.5% commitment fee. Your interest rate? Depending on your risk factors, it'll be fixed or variable. Plus, you get a pre-approved credit card. This is a limited time offer. Dial 949-8300 or email lending@caymannational.com today.
At Branso's Home Gallery, we believe in love at first sight, especially when it comes to closets. And we're spreading the love by offering 15% off on custom closets throughout the month of February. Let our experts design the closet you've been dreaming of, a functional space that's perfect for you. Save 15% on all custom closets this February at Brand Source Custom Closets. You dream it, we'll design it and build it. Visit Branso's Home Gallery today for a free in-store consultation. Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park. Phone 623-6774.
Ladies and gentlemen, have you heard the news? Digicel is back with exciting offers that are too good to resist. Activate one of our brand new prepaid or postpaid plans today and experience telecommunications like never before. With more data, dedicated entertainment options like Netflix, YouTube, Spotify, and endless social text data for all your favorite platforms. Digicel is here to make sure you stay connected and entertained. Whether you are on a prepaid or postpaid, you will also enjoy dedicated roaming data for the USA, Canada, and the Caribbean. It's all about value, and Digicel has got you covered.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
CUC Advisory. Customers are advised of a scheduled outage on Sunday, March 3rd between 8 a.m. and 1 p.m. for Watlers Road and portions of Helling Drive in Georgetown. For more information, please contact CUC's customer service team at 949-5200 or email service@cuc.ky.
Now, more than ever, supporting your immune system is crucial to helping your body fight off illnesses like the common cold, the flu, and COVID-19. At ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road and in Bodden, we carry all the essential vitamins and minerals to help support your immune system and improve your overall health. Some of our top immunity support picks are vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, elderberry, and quercetin, or the popular 7-in-1 immunity support. Our pharmacists are always on hand to help guide you and answer any questions. Visit ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road or Bodden Town. Live happy, live healthy with ValueMed Pharmacy.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back, and truly appreciate both Miss Whitney and Miss Shona for joining us. And Miss Whitney says Cayman Turtle Center. I said sometimes says Cayman Turtle Farm. They know it's the Cayman Turtle Conservation and Education Center.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's a long title. That's almost as long as Miss Shona is. What? Education, programs officer, and turtle release coordinator.
Yeah, yeah, definitely a long one.
See, this is why we need to do the walk on the 17th of March so we can get the cardio in.
Get our brain function going.
There you
We
go.
can remember these long words.
I mean, I leave my jokes for the next segment. But
Okay.
but I know people who have done it, and like I said, this would be what, your 4th year, not the 40th, but your 4th.
Yeah.
Yes.
Who've walked, and it's just a way to, because it's not a race. You know, it's a turtle crawl. I mean, what better?
Yeah, turtles move slow, so we're all fine with making it a fun run, taking however much time you need to complete it.
Fun and slow and easy wins the race.
Yeah, this event is more so about getting people moving, getting people talking about the importance of green sea turtles, and just having an opportunity for the community to come together and fundraise for conservation. It's not who is the toughest, who is the fastest, who is the strongest. It is, we all care about the environment. We care about the green sea turtle population. So let's come together. Let's celebrate them. Let's get moving together, get our blood pumping, and raise some money.
You know, I'm thinking we should offer a special. So one is normally $25, right? So you can get a packet of 4 for $100. But if you want to buy 10 for $500, that's a good deal.
That is a great deal.
Is it?
That's a great deal. And you're contributing to, see, this caller is going to, he did the math, he knows what it is, right? So one for $25, $100 will get you 4. And if you buy 10, it's $500. It's a great deal. I'm telling you, don't do the math. All the money raised will go to it. No, man.
Speaking of which, though, I will say that for corporate teams that are registering for 10 people or more, we are offering a special discount. So if you have a corporate team that you want to sign up that is 10 persons or more, just email info@turtle.ky and we're happy to sort you out and get you that discount so that your organization can get active and fundraise together.
See, you know, and that deal is probably going to be better than mine. Mine is government accounting. This is... No, I'm told we have a caller joining us, if that's fine.
Yeah.
All right. Miss Whitney Foster and Miss Shona joins us as we talk about the upcoming turtle crawl on the 17th, Sunday, the 17th of March. That's just a couple days away almost. Let's go to the phones. Hey, welcome. Thanks for calling.
Hello. You're talking about turtles.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And What is the walk or crawl that you're having?
Yeah, it's the Turtle Crawl 5K Walk Run. This will be our 4th year hosting it from Cayman Turtle Center. It is on Sunday, March 17th, starting at 6:30 a.m. Registration is only $25 CI, and it is a fundraising opportunity for green sea turtle conservation.
All right, everybody walks. They walk every day. Have you ever thought of putting in a turtle glide ride?
We're having a little bit of a challenge, sir, and hearing some echo, crackling, whichever. I mean, I haven't seen that much crackling until my brother did the pig the other day, but that's a different story. So we're not hearing that. Would you repeat that, please, sir?
I said, everybody walks and runs and whatever, but something unique for the turtle farm. Introduce a turtle glide ride.
Ooh.
That's a very good idea.
That is a great idea.
That's
I mean,
a very good idea.
you want to tell us what that is, and have you ever done it?
What was that?
The glide ride. What is it, and have you ever done it?
Well, you just get one of them big old heaves and put them in an environment, which I think you've got the environment around there. That is the turtle property, the facility that you have there, and put a couple of them big heaves in an environment where you can stop somebody on one of them, or just free ride and see how long they stay on.
Okay.
Oh, goodness.
Would you do that, Miss Shona?
I would not.
You do not?
But I'm very reserved, so no.
Miss Whitney?
I'm very fragile. I get hurt a lot.
We could definitely think of cycling.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a lot of opportunities for athletic.
You could facilitate it, that you'd put a collar around the front of the turtle where someone could hold on to, and you might even put some kind of collar on the back of the turtle.
I think we wouldn't just do that just because protecting the turtle itself and taking care of it.
Yeah.
But as for maybe a fake turtle,
yeah, we could come up with something.
Like a bicycle dressed as a turtle, but we wouldn't use a real turtle.
No, definitely not. But thank you for your recommendation. We'll think of some creative way to dream up a glider ride sort of situation.
Yeah, maybe people decorate their bikes as turtles.
Yeah.
Anything else, sir?
I think you've got a lot of scope down there to think outside the box and come up with something unique. Turtle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And well, maybe a discussion in another setting, perhaps as a presentation. But thanks very much, sir.
Many years ago, that was a fun thing to do, but it was in the wild.
Interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, we'll have to look into it, and I'd be interested in the research of the past, but we'll have to find some creative version in which the turtles don't really have a part in that. But thank you for your recommendation.
Oh, yeah, I include the turtle. Anyway,
all right.
Have a good day.
Yeah, thanks, sir. And I think, as I listen to the caller, there's continued education and awareness, and not just globally. I think many in the world see and recognize the importance of things that we here don't always. Always say, can't see the forest for the trees, and for some reason I can't get us to see what it looks like. We ignored the ugly that the world might see and pretend if we don't say it doesn't exist. We fail to celebrate the great things that everybody knows, but for some reason, if we toot our own horn or celebrate it, we're being this, that, or the next. We've managed to fool ourselves in so much that we ignore it. So I think, Ms. Shona, you and your team's continued work with education helps us to appreciate what we have.
Yeah, I'm part of the education programs team at Cayman Turtle Center, and part of my job is to go out and teach the public about how important sea turtles are, but also all of the other animals we have at the center. So a lot of people think our conservation programs just focus on the green sea turtle. And I mean, a lot of them do because they are in the name for the center. But we also do a lot of conservation with species like the white crown pigeon and the Cayman parrot as well. Yeah. So the funds from this initiative won't just go to affect sea turtle conservation, like all of our types of releases that we do, including our Head Started releases, but also the conservation programs for these animals.
I mean, your aviary is nice and a tour through the grounds, but there are things, and more do we get involved, more do we,
Absolutely. And I think it's important also to note that the animal and education team, they facilitated 44 school tours last year alone. So there's tremendous educational opportunities, not just in the scientific community, but in our young children community in Cayman and even farther beyond. So I think that it's really important, and it's exciting to see that these kids and these schools, these local schools, are so passionate about learning about the environment. And I think that I'm only excited to see that number grow as more and more class trips happen at the Turtle Center. Right.
Well, we'll certainly continue to partner. I want to thank Ms. Anita for helping us to facilitate, this discussion with you. And even though March the 17th, for some of us, February isn't finished yet. If you don't plan it, put it on our calendars, we'll miss it. And that has happened. Not calling any names. When in the morning you wake up and go, that was yesterday. You intend to go. So what do we do to register again?
Yeah, just head to turtlecrawl.ky. All of the information is there. You can purchase your tickets. They are only $25 CI. And you can fill out all that information, add that event to your calendar so you don't forget about it. And I do want to say that this event and a lot of our really exciting conservation programs would not be possible without our corporate sponsorships. So a special shout out to our sponsors for this year's Turtle Crawl 5K are Double M Distribution, CUC, CG Brit K, Blue Water Medical Supplies, Advanced Fire and Plumbing, Cryo 345, Gatorade, Corporate Electric, Yanni's Photography, DMS, and of course, the wonderful Radio Cayman.
And we don't appear to see that. No, but we're such a strong part of the Cayman fabric that we're always honored, and hopefully we'll continue to have this partnership and we can continue to appreciate it. And one day we have Ms. Shauna in, and I won't try to say your veterinarian's name, Dr. Vandana.
Dr. Vandana.
Yeah, just amazing listening.
Or Dr. Navi.
Yeah, and Dr. Navi in particular. Maybe Ms. Shauna, through you and Ms. Whitney, we can have them on to talk about some things.
For sure.
Have my people reach out to your people.
Yeah.
Continue to do great work, and hopefully we'll see you again soon again.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
All right. Well, the Turtle Crawl on the 17th of March, right after someone's birthday. All right. Until we come back, listen to the news and join us, because Miss Lucille Seymour and guests will join us. So stay tuned.
If they are talking about us,
living in your head rent-free all this time,
we must be relevant. Radio Cayman since 1976. From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is Headlines. Local, regional, international news.
Just before 3:40 a.m. today, police were dispatched by the 911 Communications Center to a report of shots being fired near the intersection of Eastern Avenue and Godfrey Nixon Way. Firearm officers attended the location and carried out investigations. While doing so, several spent casings were located and recovered, as well as one live round of ammunition. No injuries were reported to the police as a result of this incident. Initial investigations suggest, however, that this incident is not connected to the recent shooting at the Ed Bush playing field in West Bay. Good afternoon. I'm Dion Anglin with your headlines. In news elsewhere, Prince Harry has lost a High Court challenge against the government over the level of his security in the UK. The Duke of Sussex failed to overturn a previous ruling which saw his security status downgraded after he stopped being a working royal. The High Court found that decision was neither unlawful nor irrational. Prince Harry will seek to appeal the latest ruling, with a legal spokesperson saying he hopes he will obtain justice. And Monica Lewinsky, the anti-bullying activist who found herself at the center of a 90s media storm after an affair with President Bill Clinton, has been signed by a major fashion brand. Ms. Lewinsky was chosen by Women's Fashion House Reformation to lead the company's latest voting campaign. The You've Got the Power Workwear campaign was launched on Monday in partnership with Vote.org. That's a wrap of your headlines. I'm Dion Anglin.
More news available at www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Radio Cayman Headline News.
The Health Services Authority has over 120 world-class physicians offering the most comprehensive range of specialist services on island. Our dedicated team of professionals provide the highest quality care in orthopedics, interventional radiology, women's health, geriatrics, and a host of other specialist areas. We are a JCI accredited organization with a proven record of excellence. At HSA, we are committed to caring for you. For more information, visit hsa.ky.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Born in Creek, Cayman Brac on the 25th of September 1939, Henry Mansfield Connolly was the third of 8 children for Henry Kitchener and Olive Connolly. As with many of the men of his generation, he went to sea at the tender age of 15 and worked for Mr. Southwell and National Bulk Carriers for some 30 plus years. During this time, he rose from being an oiler pumpman to the post of second engineer after completing correspondence engineer courses from a school in New York. He sailed on many ships, including the Universe Leader, Universe Defender, or Titan, or Venus, or Meteor, or Transport. After his tenure at National Bulk Carriers, he was one of the few Brackers who worked with Cayman Energy Company doing the ship-to-ship oil transfers off the island in the 1980s. After a medical injury, he retired from sea and started his own plumbing engineer company, C&H Plumbing.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands, the ultimate staycation experience. Your culture, your freedom, the land that time forgot isn't gone. It's your Sister Islands.
Discover all that our Sister Islands have to offer.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back and thanks for joining us tonight. I think everyone and anyone who's ever in the presence of Miss Lucille Seymour, would say that not only show great deference to her and give away, but they'll be honored to be able to learn from her incredible expertise, but also experience. Miss Lucille, not just as an educator, I think you would say that would trump all, and a parliamentarian, but a very engaged, and I'll borrow from something my father says, as he looks at each year an opportunity to have seen a preceding year with a hopeful expectation of seeing another to come. Age itself is just something, I believe jokingly he said, you know why God allows you to live a long life. Simply, you can't make all the mistakes at once. And he has this incredible approach to life, a seriousness, but a great sense of jovialness, a sense of purpose and commitment, but a casual yet reserved approach to life. Not loud and bumptious, but in his quietness, right? There's a wealth on top knowledge and expertise. And I keep saying, man, if I'm a tenth of the man he is, I'll be 1,000 times better than most. And it's that, I know you were a bit younger. Miss Lucy, a lot younger than my dad.
Mr. Carr, you know.
No, to my dad, right? But you still, you beat your own drum.
Well,
you know.
We'll chat about that.
I almost want to say you still got Spergen, but
no, I think I still have my old license though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
And we'll talk about that a little later because I don't think we do enough of that with older persons. Let them talk about themselves.
No, man.
It's after they have gone 6 foot down that we do vignettes and stuff on there.
And that's why I, and join us also, Ms. Karlene Bramwell. I look to you and I see here's an intellect, but here's also the appreciation. Here's, like myself, someone's raised in a generation amongst people who, we may stand on the shoulders of giants, but we recognize that, but for their service and sacrifice, where would we be? And are we prepared to take up the mantle? Not that we would be as great as them, but we come from a similar stock, and we have to use our voices and our hands in a way that we join hearts and we are meaningful, purposeful, we're present.
Exactly. And I think, I've been privileged now to serve on the Older Persons Council for the last, I think it's about more than 6 years now, actually. And one of the things that I keep sort of being in awe of is all of those persons who are 65 and older who are still contributing or who have even contributed to my own life. Because, for example, persons like Mr. Herbert Crawford, which I'm sure a lot of people know, was actually my primary school teacher. So I have grown up in the presence of these persons and recognize that the value that they have contributed to my life, to the community's life, to the national life.
And Lucy, when we look at people who, whether they were our teachers in school, or whether they were people in our community, and we see them going and coming, we watch them working. And I don't want to say because I think there is another part. I respect, Ms. Karlene, what you shared. We see these people, and we know that they must be, they got to be a little bit older than they were when we were younger. They are always old to us, as little children. And yet, they still have the ability. They still have that drive. And yes, they may not be running 100 miles an hour as they were before, but maybe they're doing 75 miles an hour, right? And that pace, and they're able to do. I want to be very deliberate in asking you first, Ms. Lucille. Is our society looking at our people generally, but our elderly specifically, in seeing their value and their worth and their continued contributions, and embracing and acknowledging and accepting and inviting and including? Because sometimes the things that they say to me now, I believe they may have said it to me 30 years ago, but I didn't have the mindset, the intellect, the patience, the ability even to understand or appreciate what they said.
And the society, and that's one of the reasons we're here, to have this campaign and push Cayman as an age-proud or an age-friendly society. I don't think that we look at the experience of older persons as being helpful to the society. And particularly young people, I'm saying, they say, and they'll say to people who are working with them, but you're so old, you should not be working now. And not realizing that if we need to mix the experience of the young and the old together in order for us to be doing things purposefully.
Right.
But to answer your question pointedly,
yes, ma'am.
I don't think Cayman is where we want it to be in terms of being an age-proud or an age-friendly society.
Right.
Case in point,
yes,
I'll talk first, and I know Ms. Karlene, I'd like her as a younger person, and here we have the intergenerational mix, I'd like her to speak. Yeah. The case in point is on our civil servants. I mean, our civil servants retire. I'm not sure if there's a connection between the association and the people who have retired that were members, to follow them up, to see how they're doing, to see if they can help with the same civil service. And if they do, I'd like somebody to call in and talk to me about it. And to even before they leave the civil service, to garner them and prepare them for some of these things in life.
Yeah. But Miss Karlene, Ms. Dukey's request, but jump in, share with us, direct us, and guide me, because I have immense respect for our elderly. I have a great expectation of them because I know what some of them have said. Well, we need you to do this. We're looking to you for that.
Mm-hmm.
And I go, really? I mean, will I ever be ready? So help us.
I mean, one of the things that I must bring to the fore, first of all, is that there is a policy that was actually established from 2017, was it? And what it does, it outlines some of the actions that we would want the society to take. And it does not mean that everything has to come from government. So there are actions there. And that is actually on our website at gov.ky/Older Persons Council. So anybody can go on it and see what the policy actually says. Now, in terms of, persons pushing forward with, making it an age-friendly society, I think all of us have some sort of way that we can do that.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that I'd like to highlight, for example, which was something that was pleasing to me. I think it was last year at whether Capella or one of those larger concerts. One of the things that they actually had there was a special seating area on a raised platform that persons with mobility issues or persons who are a little bit older could actually go up and sit in that area and still be able to then enjoy the concert, right? So I think that it's those sorts of ways that in your daily lives that we can do things differently. When you go into a store, for example, and the boards that they have up with the orders of stuff, menus or whatever, the font that you have on that can make a difference. The size of the font, the information, when you're given information on a piece of paper, if we consider what are the needs of older persons, we as whether businesses or persons just on the street can help in some of those ways.
But yeah.
I was just going to add in regards to what Miss Lucille just said about, the civil service and so forth. One of the things that recently I have seen has happened is that persons who are going towards retirement, they're actually now being given like guidance in terms of what that means, both financially and from a place of psychologically as well.
This is interesting as Ms. Lucy talking about making Cayman an age-friendly society. We can look within some of our families, how we are engaged in interacting with our own family members in that preparation. But that's probably that family being perceived as being proactive. I want to look at that on a more sort of a global macro level. But let me revisit that first by asking, when we look at the Cayman context and, you reference the consumer, so the people who are going into a business and there's a menu board, having that font readable, legible at a sufficient size will help all of us.
Exactly.
Even those whose vision may not be the best, instead of standing a little bit closer next to another customer, can stand a little further back. For the business, as business people, they're doing that. They're being good business practices.
Exactly.
Right?
And that is the thing with when we think about aging in place or aging actively, it's at the end of the day, it is going to benefit everybody. Because if you have a handrail, for example, in a place where, the public is accessing, anybody can, it could be me. I could be temporarily, my foot could be hurting today. and I could actually use that handrail. So when we think about accessibility from a wider perspective, whether we're looking at it by age, whether young or old, everybody eventually benefits.
So, Ms. Lucille, sorry.
And we have written to planning and said to them that we to have this cognizance of aging. And when we're building homes, even if you build it at 25 with the handrail, if God helps you, you're going to be 60, 70, 80, 90, perhaps in that same house. So you have had that foresight already to put all these in place.
And I'm glad you referenced that. And even if you could see my notes, I doubt whether you could read it, because I still probably what did I write? Luckily, I I know what I was trying to write. But I wrote down before Miss Karlene was sharing, and as you shared, I thought, confirmation. The U.S., like many larger jurisdictions, probably passed a lot of legislation that have little or no meaningful impact other than cost. At least that's the perception of the populace. But they passed an American with Disabilities Act in the 90s, late 80s or the 90s. And talked about universal access. And those practices were good. I think, Ms. Karlene, you alluded to it as Ms. Lucille shared. Not just for that person with some, issue of mobility, but it's you. So my question is, as Ms. Lucille readily identified, to make, let's say, a bathroom more handicap accessible. You got wider doorways, you got a particular turning radius for the wheelchair, you're considering one or two other people assisting the person at that stage because of this issue, so maybe a little bit bigger. Yet, many of us, we're building a house and boy, we're trying to squeeze it within that footprint because it could cost so much more to build. Then the planning fees and the government and that. So those things come into play, even when the 25-year-old is hoping, I want to get married and this is where I'm going to live my house forever. But I can't afford this.
But if you're building 2 bathrooms, or you have 3 bathrooms in your house, one of them.
No. I'm fully with you, Mom. And I challenge that, but jump in, Miss Karlene.
I think it's also about incentivizing those sorts of things as well. So if it is that we're really looking at it macro right now, as if we're looking at it from a policy perspective, how do we incentivize so that down the line, that active aging can take place, etc. But I must give a shout out to the government, because in the JB just last week or the week before, they actually installed finally just bathroom doors that you could actually just wave your hand and it opens itself, automated. So I was so pleased to see that. So we're moving along slowly but surely.
I mean, even the handles on doors, the knobs versus a lever.
Yes.
Right? You can be fully whatever it is, and you just come out of the bathroom for whatever reason you don't want to touch the right.
Exactly.
I haven't been away in a long time, but Tampa Airport, when I did travel there, was the first airport I saw where you walked in and the way they had it designed, there was no door. Right? But absolute privacy because of how they did it. Now I'm sure others have that. The late Burns Conley, as an architect, publicly here and privately, he was sharing that he was trying to get the government of the day to consider a few things. And to Miss Lucille's point, he was saying we have the local Cayman architecture that we like, with the wonderful overhangs and the large porches, but that was included in the footprint and the planning fees and the square footage of the building and whichever. And he said, what concessions, if any, could be had in thinking about it and talking about it and incorporating it. So too, like that, with the accessibility and universal access, with the buildings, what are we doing? And it's not just about a handicap space that has clearly marked and respected, right?
I happen to have had to go to the Dart place one day, and I couldn't find anywhere to park. So
almost my joke. So she went to the dark place.
I had to travel far
to
get to EYU.
Yeah.
So I came back and I wrote them, and I said, "This is difficult." I had to walk. I have an artificial hip.
Yes, well.
I had to walk, and I must say, in fairness to them, they did try to put some older persons' parking spaces closer. And I'm as I go places, I recognize it and I do it. And we can say for places like the hospital and credit union and where else can we say that they are conscious of parking.
Increasingly so as a community.
Not just handicap.
No.
Not we should look at that law and put it together, handicap as well as older person.
And I certainly through you, Ms. Karlene, as I think Ms. Lucille, not just alluded to, but very pointed, we look to you as we don't want to use the word expert, right? But you're going to guide us in, the technical and the structural and the part. Our community is coming of age, Yeah, we may have celebrated quincentennial way back when, 20 years of parliamentary democracy and what have you, but it's still a young, emerging, maturing country. And when we see your sidewalks, I remember when, look at that. I thought this was on silent. For the first time in ever. But when we look at what we have to consider what more can we do without it being seen as an impediment, but an incentive, a cause, yet an investment.
But in the long,
right?
exactly.
And it's about collective effort. If a parking lot is no handicap parking, but the building is inaccessible, right? Does that make sense? You got handicap parking, as Ms. Lucille shared, but you got a half an hour, walk.
But even in the bank,
yes,
you go there and you might, you have to stay. Well, now they have the ATM, but if you have to do other things, you have to go inside. So you might have to use the bathroom.
Yeah.
And they'll say to you, you can't because, and so you have to write to somebody to say you're not able to use the bathroom in the banks.
Yeah. Well, ageism, a word that I think was said earlier, and aging in place and all that sort of stuff. Again, Ms. Karlene, for me, it's just education and opportunity to share information and thought for us to reflect individually. Hey, what do we do and don't do, right? And is this something that is costly? Is this something that we could do? I use our homes, simple little things. If you can incorporate them in your house, it's good for everybody.
Exactly.
And the day that you find yourself after a good football match having to, hobble around on crutches just for whatever, because you sprain, you realize how much it is, right?
Yes, exactly.
But when your loved one comes over and they can access your space and sit by your table, and they go, you know what, let's go to your place because your place has, then you see the value of it, man.
Yeah.
Priceless.
And I think, it's just simple things again. We have been talking a lot about the physical, but I'm going to go on to some of the other things that we can do as well. In terms of, like in your house, as you were talking about, a mat that actually is, stuck to the ground properly is a good thing for everybody, for example.
Yes, yeah.
The non-slippery tiles is also a good thing for everybody again. So physically, there are things that you can do. But I think on the other hand too, psychologically and socially are the other things that we need to consider. When you have a well-trained person who is at a bank or wherever at a business, and they're able to understand, look, this is somebody who is older. They may not be able to read the menu well. They may need a little bit more time. You need to be a little bit more compassionate and have a little bit more patience when serving them. That goes a long way, and it doesn't cost much. It's really about attitude at the end of the day. So yes, the training that you can put in place for persons like that to ensure that whether it is a business or otherwise, it's accommodating.
Yeah.
From a family perspective, it's amazing that we have so many spaces in Cayman, but yet it is rare that you see families with older persons at different places. And for example, I'll carry my parents out there 70 odd and 80. And when I look in a restaurant, it's like, okay, you will have families with their younger people and babies, but not a lot of older persons, which is sad. Again, that doesn't take, any extra anything, but it's just realizing that our older persons also need to continue to participate actively in community activities.
Yeah, and it's so crucial. Right? As you shared, I think of two instances. One I witnessed. Wow. I wouldn't want to say how long ago that was, but more than 2 decades. An employee at one of the retail banks. Customers are in line. This employee looked at the line. I was in line. Came and took 2 people from the line and assisted them. Now, I recognize what was transpiring, right? And people in the line grumbled. Oh, he dealt with them, came back, and they said to him, listen, he didn't use these words, and his tone was probably a little bit firmer, but I made an executive decision. These are elderly people. Right. They're going to be served. Now, men was thought, well, why did she get good treatment for? Right? But he understood that.
They are going to be in that position.
Yeah. Months later, I learned that this junior employee, in doing that, got sanctioned by his organization for taking the initiative. To the best of my knowledge, there's no connection between this employee and these 2 people. They don't look the same. They're not the same age. There's no family, no marriage, nothing. And
but we have in the new law now.
Yeah, but this was way before law, Ms. Lucille.
But there has to be more of awareness of it, and this is what the campaign is about, to make sure that there's this awareness, because the people that you have to get to are the persons who are going to benefit from it.
Yes, and you live
and our way of communicating these days through the media does not easily give them that access. For example, Cayman doesn't have a television station anymore, and older persons look at television stations and view things. We are telling older persons they must go online. Yes, some people might be versed in that sort of thing. All of these things that Cayman is a little exceptional. The internet didn't come to us like it quickly came to other countries, and a lot of our people are older, so we have to find ways for them to get the information as well.
I hear you, but I think the internet came
and that's
here.
why they stick to Radio Cayman.
Well, which is what I'm glad you referenced that, because that allows me to say two things. That's I think why Radio Cayman is what it is, because we try to be responsive in a respectful way to our entire community. I think the internet came here, maybe the delivery and speed was lacking and a little bit behind, but accessibility was there. Dial-up was here as dial-up was elsewhere, right? AOL was the same. But I had a wonderful experience, if I can be inspired by Miss Karlene to share this when she's talking about government's response at the new $100 million building and putting in hand-sensitive doors, right? We took our parents to Southern Spice just recently, and all of the staff, the accommodation, the patience, as you said that. My father was sitting there, and some evenings you get a bit agitated because it's dark. You're not quite sure, and you make mess. I mean, we take our children, in the respect that they showed for our parents. There's nothing else they could have done that would have made that experience any better. The food is fantastic, but the respect, the accommodation, that was amazing.
And that's why we are here.
That's one.
To get this message out, not only to the older persons, but in particularly to the young. What young people must always take into consideration that they too will become older
God's spare
persons.
lives.
If not, then they will be in a graveyard. They will die young. So it's good now that, and that's why Karlene is here, the whole intergenerational.
Right.
It's good for us to ensure at schools and any place that we have young people to have that mixture. And I noticed that at the hub now, if you want to talk about
we can. We do have a WhatsApp call, but we have to break.
Sure.
So as
okay.
But I wanted to share, though, as you talked about, lack of television for people like me, we'll celebrate that. But I wonder, in the absence of that as well, we also don't visit anymore. And we can chat about it, but the intergenerational hub is something we want to chat. To our caller, we have the break, I think. See, I try to be respectful to our older people over there as well. He's like, don't call me old. All right, when we come back, stay tuned for Talk Today.
At Doctor's Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctor's Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. I'm going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have our very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, Panama, and child, they now have Barbados. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old gal.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
Find your dream car with a Cayman National Vehicle Loan. Enjoy 100% financing, up to 8-year repayment, and a 7% fixed interest rate for the first 5 years. For eco-friendly cars, we'll waive your commitment fee. This only applies to new vehicles. Call 949-8300 or email lending@caymannational.com today.
Take some advice from your Aunt Angie. If you want to go scuba diving on your vacation, don't bedazzle your wetsuit. And you think you look great, but what you don't realize is that you look like a shiny, scaly fish. And it won't take long for a shark to notice you. Next thing you know, you're busting out every karate move you got. But if you're smart, you'll have CG medical insurance and get airlifted out to the closest hospital.
Get coverage for emergency evacuations. CG Brit-K. Good like that. All benefits are subject to policy provisions, including eligibility at the time of service.
It's time to update your information. If you've recently changed your postal address, phone number, or email address, please let your Water Authority customer service team know. Remember, non-receipt of a bill does not constitute a release from liability for payment. Visit our website, www.waterauthority.ky, to download and fill out our customer information update form, or contact our customer service team at info@waterauthority.ky or braccs@waterauthority.ky, or call 949-2837.
Ladies and gentlemen, have you heard the news? Digicel is back with exciting offers that are too good to resist. Activate one of our brand new prepaid or postpaid plans today and experience telecommunications like never before. With more data, dedicated entertainment options like Netflix, YouTube, Spotify, and endless social text data for all your favorite platforms. Digicel is here to make sure you stay connected and entertained. Whether you are on a prepaid or postpaid, you will also enjoy dedicated roaming data for the USA, Canada, and the Caribbean. It's all about value, and Digicel has got you covered.
In light of the recent spike in gun violence, the elected representatives for West Bay will be facilitating a meeting for the residents of West Bay to express their concerns and to give input towards solutions on Wednesday, February 28th from 7 p.m. at the Shirley Kidd Hall located at Sir John A. Cumber Primary School. Her Excellency the Governor, Mr. Jane Owen, and Police Commissioner Mr. Kurt Walton will be in attendance. The community is encouraged to attend.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back. And that other voice is the voice of instruction. Miss Lucille Seymour, even sometimes the voice of reason. But what would you say also, that voice of consistency and such a concerted effort to be reminded of a cultural significance, right? You agree? And Miss Karlene,
I am just going to allow you to carry me where you want to carry me.
Listen. There are worse people that could take you. Because one thing, I have your back, and we are fearful the people will take us because they won't bring us back. I will not.
What is good about you and I is that both of us can go into the same sort of history, even though I'm older than you.
But not by much.
I like that, and that shows the depth of your knowledge of Cayman, and even I do it all the time with people, and we talk about things, and sometimes I'll say, "Are you old enough to remember this?" And they say, "Oh, sure, I remember that."
Well,
and
thank you.
the thing why we have to do it, and I'm glad that I do that. If we, as older persons, don't work with our younger people to remind them of their culture, it dies and it gets subsumed by other cultures.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's what you don't want to do.
No.
You don't want anybody to subsume your culture.
But we also have, as younger people, make an effort to engage with the elder. They have to be receptive and willing to share, but then you need to demonstrate as a younger person that you're worthy, you're willing, right? And I don't think, I appreciate your kind words, Mom. I don't think I've done that enough or do that enough. Not because of anything other than, accessibility and time and all these things. And what do we think is a priority? But to sit in the presence of somebody older and to hear them speak candidly, if they think that you are listening attentively and you will be, mindful of what is shared, you can learn a lot, I mean, we do have a caller. I want to engage Ms. Karlene further, but respectfully, let's go to the phones and join this caller. Welcome. Thank you for calling. Yeah. Hello? Okay. We have... Okay. Hello on a WhatsApp call? Okay. Yes, sir.
Yeah, and good afternoon to you guys too.
And to you, man. Thank you for calling.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know if the mics aren't close enough, but it's hard to hear you all on radio.
Well, thank you for telling us.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, we thank you. Is that any better?
Yeah, man. On the phone.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for calling.
So, yeah, when it comes to the old people, if you ask them what's most important to them now in their lives, it's my belief that they would say the lives of their children and their grandchildren and their great-grandchildren. And the way that I see things happening in our islands now, if the government doesn't do what they need to do with the power that they have to do it, the future for our young people is not going to be nice. And they speak of the different things that causes people to have suicidal thoughts and stress and anxiety and depression are the main things that they speak about. The government needs to start collecting concessions and stop taking poor people money and giving it to the rich people. We need trade schools in our country. Right now, the amount of money, what the concessions the government has given away, we could have had every district now with a trade school. Or young people can ride their bicycles to the trade school and go home for lunch and come back. We need hurricane shelters with the foundation at least 10 feet above the ground. All these things we need for our young people. And then government is also able, with all that land they got in East End, they could build apartments. Our young people coming out of school who like to go on their own are able to rent to own. The government has the power to do that. And they speak they don't have the money. That's why they have to collect these concessions and stop taking poor people money and giving it to the rich. Thank you very much.
You're most welcome. You're most welcome. And, well, Ms. Karlene, you jump in, and if you need a prompting from me, or I can start with a note. I can sing. Ms. Karlene.
Let's not do that.
Hey, you know what? I probably should listen.
So just to highlight, yes, we talked about, all of the needs that older persons have. But this particular campaign that we're doing is also about being proud while we age, essentially.
Yes.
And within the campaign, what we have done is actually used, I'm afraid I don't have anything digital to show your YouTube audience, but hopefully you all have seen it on the government platforms. We have actually used persons who are 80, anybody above 65 actually, and showing that they are still able to do things, contribute. They are basically, mashing down those stereotypes that we have of what aging is.
Yeah.
So it's not about only, being vulnerable and frail and all of that. We have persons who are doing craft work, who are riding every Sunday. There are people who are still farmers. We have people who are fishing, etc. So what we're trying to do with this campaign is actually showing that people still have a lot of life left in them, even if they are 65 and older.
I want to pick up now, but Miss Lucille, I think there's another caller. Shall we join the caller?
Sure.
Thanks, Mom. Hey, welcome. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Oh, I'm sorry I couldn't make it to be with you three, but I'm listening, and thanks so much, Miss Lucille and Miss Karlene, for doing such a magnificent job.
Yes, Mom.
With our great moderator, Mr. Sterling. We do want an age-friendly society. No doubt Miss Lucille and Miss Karlene have already said that. But if I may use a little reading I have, that we, the family, the neighbors, strangers, how we must deal with older people. If I may?
Certainly.
Right. When I spill some food on my nice clean dress, or maybe forget to tie my shoe, please be patient and perhaps reminisce about the many hours I spent with you. When I taught you how to eat with care, first tying laces and your numbers too, dressing yourself and combing your hair, those were precious hours spent with you. So when I forget what I was about to say, just give me a minute, or maybe two. It probably wasn't important anyway, and I would much rather listen just to you. If I tell the story one more time, and you know the ending through and through, please remember your first nursery rhyme when I rehearsed it 100 times with you. When my legs are tired and it's hard to stand or walk, the steady pace that I would like to do, please take me carefully by my hand and guide me now as I so often did for you. I think that if we all, children, neighbors, friends, strangers, were to keep those things in mind, they would make a point of showing great respect and care for all of our elderly, no matter how time-consuming it is to deal with them. And in one's busy life, sometimes it can get a little frustrating because you want to rush. But let's not forget they were there for us, so we must be there for them. And let them know that they're still a vital part of our Cayman community, of the world's community, and they still contribute, even if their conversations are a little bit stilted at times. But they have built the fabric upon which our islands are built, and we are all benefiting. But not just for what they did, but for who they are and the sacrifices parents make, older persons make. We must remember, but for them, where would we be? So thank you, Miss Lucille, Miss Karlene, for keeping the flag flying high and doing the Older Persons Council.
Thank you very much. And for reading that lovely poem. It's very touching. But I want to go back to my childhood a little bit to say that we were brought up by our parents to respect our older persons. As a matter of fact, on a Saturday morning, we had to either go and, especially those that didn't have anybody, we had to either go and help them in the yard or we had to go to the shop for them. And this is what they did with you when you had to go to the shop. They gave you the money, they told you 10 things or so you had to buy for them, and they never made you write it down. So they were helping us to have a good recall. But I wanted to go back to our first caller who lamented about the issues of the government and what the young people need. And he's perhaps right, in particular, the upskilling of our children. You know, when I went to New York, I went to a Jewish university. And one of the things I learned very quickly about the Jews is that don't care how brilliant and bright and wealthy they are, they do things with their hands. They either learn to sew, make shoes, do jewelry, but they do things with their hands. And they're very skilled in that. I think if I can draw this parallel here, that and why the young fella talked about the trade school, not that he was demeaning university, but what he was saying to us is that teach us a skill. And what are the skills? Maybe you learn them at universities too. Teach us to work with our hands to improve our life.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that he brought that up. But I also wanted to say something that he made a point about what's important to parents, older parents,
Yes.
their children and their grandchildren. Let me tell you something. Perhaps that may be the mistake. I once was sitting with an old lady, and she was crying, and I said to her, "Why are you so unhappy?" She said, "You know, I have one daughter. Don't have any sons, just one daughter, and I look after her little girl Monday to Friday, and she goes to a private school." And he said her birthday came. The birthday was on the Sunday, I think, and she never invited me. That has always stayed in my head.
Wow.
It shows you how we feel about our own parents. They're not good enough sometimes, and I see that on a daily basis. But if we would just, think of what it is that, how helping our older people, as Karlene was talking about, not just in the physical aspects, but in their well-being, and in the way that helping them to survive, to enjoy life. That's what we don't help our older persons to do.
And as you shared, Miss Lucille, I mean, the caller, to his point, was, have to take a break, sir? All right, we have to come back again. I think I have more, Miss Karlene. We'll take a break. I know we end the segment at 2, so let me try to be respectful. We'll pause and we'll return right after.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what, though, no more dreaming. I go and flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, Panama, and child, they now have Barbados. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Harwell Squares for this old gal.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
From boat days to beach gatherings, leave the catering to Subway. Choose from small and large sandwich platters, double meat wrap platters, and top it off with optional cookie platters for dessert. Or ask about our Subway box to go with the option of 6-inch or foot-long sandwich, 1 cookie, and 1 bag of chips. For all occasions and celebrations, let Subway focus on the food so you can focus on the fun. Visit subway.ky for catering options. Subway. Eat fresh.
Freedom, Cayman Brack. Freedom, Little Cayman. Soft breezes, blue waters, no traffic. Unwind and rejuvenate your mind, body, and soul. Sister Island Staycations, a taste of freedom. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Discover your dream home with Cayman National's home loan. Get up to 95% financing, repayment up to 40 years, and just a 0.5% commitment fee. Your interest rate? Depending on your risk factors, it'll be fixed or variable. Plus, you get a pre-approved credit card. This is a limited time offer. Dial 949-8300 or email lending@caymannational.com today.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
Social media, X, formerly Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Interact with our talk shows on YouTube. Download our official Radio Cayman app, or you can log on to our website, www.radiocayman.gov.ky. You can also add us to WhatsApp
on 925-3261.
All the latest information, breaking news, community events, and more. Radio Cayman. Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
We talk. We welcome back, and thanks to Miss Lucille Seymour, not just as chair of the Council of the Elderly, as I call it, but I think the law has another thing, and I struggle with it. And Miss Karlene Bramwell, it's me. I'm glad that my parents love me. Hey, Miss Karlene. But we'll say much, and I know respectfully it's not much left in this thing. Could I ask a couple of things? And certainly we want you to share, but let's go. Two of our listeners have asked through their WhatsApp, if there are any more word on the benefits for the elderly that were discussed in recent years, for instance, bus passes. I know we alluded to earlier about some of the things that elderly could be afforded and would be. Is that something we could ask you now, and if not, and a response come later?
Well, when Mr. Matt Taggart was there, we did invite him to the older persons meeting and talked about some of the things that we wanted. And they have been granted over the last 4 years. But I'm not sure if there's anything on bus passes. But if that is something that is that they want us to bargain for, certainly we will do that.
But I think, Ms. Lucille, to Ms. Karlene's point, one of her great points earlier, we don't need leader for government to do their things, or we as private entities. I can see myself differentiate my product, my service, my business by doing certain things, right? And it may be a good thing. It may only be something that is beneficial to my industry or my business, right? But nonetheless, can I ask one other question from our WhatsApp? Listener writes and asks, we talk about younger people and older people. What does that mean? And I guess by extension is there a definition of an older person, but younger people and older people, what does that even mean?
Older persons in the policy is distinguished as persons being 65 years and older.
Okay.
And this is based on a UN definition, as far as I'm aware. And then when we talk about youth in this country, I think that from what I gather from the Youth Services Unit, it goes from, I think they said 10 to
25?
30.
30, no? 25.
5 or 25.
25, right.
I'm not sure.
So it's by legislation in a sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Is it now that, do we now have a legal retirement age in this country as opposed to a practice prior to?
I am corrected if I'm wrong, but I thought it was the pension age.
Not a working age.
Not a working age. That is a negotiable between employee and employer.
If it's improper, Ms. Karlene.
Although government, I think.
You're right. Could we ask you formally to inquire or direct us? Because as simple as that is, Ms. Lucille and myself and others have had people say, well, there's a retirement age. No, there's not a retirement age. We know there's a pensionable age, but is there a working retirement age? I'm told there is now with the amended legislation. Would that be improper to ask you to guide me? Either you find it or tell me who to ask to get a exhausted, definitive answer that we can share. Would that be okay, Mom?
I think the Department of Labor might be your best choice.
See,
but
there
I
you
will look
directed
into
me.
it.
Yes, Mom. Thank you, Mom. Thank you. All right.
But there has been some talk about increasing the age to 70? 70, I think.
And these are discussions that we will have ongoing, because I think you asked earlier, or you shared, we see our elderly people working. And a question I wrote down immediately, if they're working, is that because they still have to work? One, they're running the business, they need the income, but maybe they don't have to, but they want to. Because of that purpose, they need something to do. Why should we be forced to retire because you've hit an arbitrary number?
But the ironic thing in Cayman is that when you retire somebody here, you have to go outside and get somebody else.
See, these are...
And that, to me, should be taken into consideration.
Yeah.
And what happens that I've seen in my lifetime, I don't think we have ever had such a group of people that are so educated that are retired in my lifetime until now. So therefore, we have to look at utilizing them.
Yeah.
If they ever band together to do evil, I am sorry for us.
Yeah.
But they will not. But we have to make sure that they are assisted in some way or the other.
But your words, Ms. Lucille, should resonate with us in that we are doing our country a collective disservice, not just these individuals who have great expertise, experience, and they're willing still, right? Anyway, that's something that is really, really, really unfortunate that we would do that to a small developing country as ours when we got somebody who is willing and able and can offer. And we say, no. But we do the same with the Cayman employee,
and remember, too, that some of these persons still have a loan.
We were talking about discrimination against the aged. Huh.
Exactly, and that is exactly what the whole point is. It's how do we ensure that discrimination is actually prevented?
Yes, ma'am.
So if somebody is willing to work and able to work, is there a way of accommodating them?
Right.
And also, even if it's not even in a paid position, which of course people do need to be paid, if there is part-time work, if there is project work, if there is seasonal work, how can we engage those persons with those skills in those areas?
Indeed.
And then on the other hand, the volunteer opportunities, even going back to what the caller talked about in terms of trade schools, etc., some of the ways that we could actually use our older persons is having them involved in showing those practical skills.
Indeed.
in those settings.
But even these people who now, maybe because they've made themselves a priority, or maybe because they've sort of reorganized their days and they have more time, they're now 50, 60, 70 years old, and they say, you know what, I would love to know air conditioning or plumbing or electrical or whatever. They can now go on their own, maybe start a new career, maybe just for their own edification. But I wanted to...
But even in the NPOs,
yes, ma'am.
and they're increasing rapidly, there are a lot of NPOs that could hire local retirees.
Yeah, but that's a wider... I know we have the...
I know. Let's take YMCA, for example. I think the modus operandi of the government was to ensure that you made available time and space for children who didn't have people at home. So you kept them at school an extra hour and a half. And those are things that you could hire sensible, smart, older persons to help you with.
Well, I certainly appreciate you, and I know our whole team and myself will welcome an extended discussion, but respectfully. But if I could just lead this in closing and ask Ms. Karlene for her thoughts. We talked about discrimination in so many ways, and not to pick on the banks, but as an example, you have a 65-year-old or 63-year-old who may want to borrow money, but because of the age, there's some challenges, or a 70-year-old. But what if that person now is 50 or 55 and wants to borrow? And let's say the repayment term can only be up until 65. That 25-year-old may have 40 years to amortize that borrowing, that 50-year-old has 15, the 60-year-old only has 5. Are we considering that consequence when we are not yet 65, when we're still 30 and 40? It's just a question.
That is a lot of food for thought because I found myself sort of in that situation.
You too, huh?
Well, this is what I'll tell you.
Yeah.
If you have a savings,
Yeah.
like a fixed deposit,
Yeah.
you can borrow after you're 70.
No,
but you borrow your own money.
Yeah, I recognize that. But these are things where public discussion with information that is accurate and timely and credible, and good information in education is helpful. Ms. Karlene, your final thoughts, ma'am, for today, only on this topic.
Well, I just want to say that as the census of 2021 showed us, older persons in the Cayman Islands is 7.9% of the population. So this is not a group of people that we should be ignoring.
So less than 10,000.
Exactly. We're talking about 5,000 odd persons that are 65 and older. And every day, obviously, that is being added too. So it's a situation where we need to be mindful of the needs, the things that we can do, keeping people involved still, and the contribution that they can make to the society, that we still utilize that.
Yeah. Thanks for identifying and that number, because even if it was 100,000, we're talking 5,000 people. I mean, like with a political party, you got 5,000 people in attendance, right? So it's a small number, and that's the beauty of this country. We can know and name everybody and immediately impact them. And yet, are we doing so in a positive way? Ms. Lucille, always a pleasure, ma'am.
Yeah, the emphasis now and the buzzword now is your mental psychic. Yet everybody's dipping into that.
Yeah.
And if you really know what older persons go through, I believe a lot of people, more people that are wealthy, and particular businesses, would make contribution, not just early to give a discount.
Right.
But I believe that the more that the media, the more that the council, social media, or whatever can talk about older persons, is the better for us.
Indeed.
They really need to. We really need to ensure that their well-being is.
Thank you very much,
Thank
Ms.
you too,
Lucille.
sir.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much,
for
Ms.
your-
Karlene. And to our listeners, we are a little bit beyond the scheduled 2 p.m. headline news. My apologies, but our respect and love for our elderly people is so evident, and we trust that we'll be able to continue this discussion. When we return, we invite you to join us. A different segment, and you might think, 75 is a good number. What if we told you of 175? You want to know what that means? Join us after the break.
Information, entertainment, inspiration.
Covering Grand Cayman, Little Cayman, Cayman Brac.
Since 1976 till now.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Radio Cayman Headline News.
Police are asking for any video footage persons may have with the recent Ed Bush Football Stadium shooting incident, no matter how seemingly minor. Clips can also be submitted by email to pr@rcips.ky. Additionally, Cayman Crime Stoppers is offering a reward of up to $50,000 for information that leads to the arrest, charge, or conviction of individuals responsible for this incident. The Cayman Islands government have also decided to support this reward with an additional $200,000 towards solving the crime. Tips can be submitted anonymously via the Cayman Crime Stoppers website or by downloading the Cayman Crime Stoppers app. Good afternoon once again. I'm Dion Anglin with your headlines. In news elsewhere, Alexei Navalny will be buried in Moscow on Friday, a spokesperson has confirmed. The service will be held at Borisovskaya Cemetery after a farewell service at a Moscow church. In a speech today, the opposition leader's widow, Yulia, said she didn't know if the funeral would be peaceful or if police would arrest those who came to say goodbye. Alexei Navalny died suddenly in an Arctic prison earlier this month.
and severe storms have brought tornado warnings to the Chicago area as a cold front pounds through the U.S. Midwest. The National Weather Service has reported at least 5 tornado sightings, including 3 near the city of DeKalb, around 64 miles west of Chicago. Wind gusts in excess of 60 miles per hour were reported, knocking down trees and light poles and leaving much of the area without power. There are no reports of casualties. That's a wrap of your headlines. I'm Dion Anglin.
More news available at www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Radio Cayman Headline News. From boat days to beach gatherings, leave the catering to Subway. Choose from small and large sandwich platters, double meat wrap platters, and top it off with optional cookie platters for dessert. Or ask about our Subway box to go with the option of 6-inch or foot-long sandwich, 1 cookie, and 1 bag of chips. For all occasions and celebrations, let Subway focus on the food so you can focus on the fun. Visit subway.ky for catering options. Subway. Eat fresh.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. I go and flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, Panama, and child, they now have Barbados. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old girl.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
Find your dream car with a Cayman National Vehicle Loan. Enjoy 100% financing, up to 8-year repayment, and a 7% fixed interest rate for the first 5 years. For eco-friendly cars, we'll waive your commitment fee. This only applies to new vehicles. Call 949-8300 or email lending@caymannational.com today.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
The best foundation you can wear is glowing, healthy skin. The offices of dermatologist Dr. Wayne Porter specialize in enhancing your skin's well-being. Whether you're seeking advanced skin care, including any skin cancers, Botox, filler, cosmetic skin enhancements, or simply looking to reduce wrinkles, Dr. Porter offers a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. For more information, email drportercayman@gmail.com or call 946-9020. That is 946-9020.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
I would say that too. And I can say it again, because in the studio, as we promised you, 175 years.
We got to do this one?
No, we can put the headsets on. We're live and we're enjoying it. And we have the company of some great people. And publicly, we're going to say a special hello to Mr. Harwell. I think we can acknowledge him.
Yes. Yeah.
Should we publicly say to Mr. Harwell, he need to bring us some chocolate, a good quality Cadbury or something good?
I agree with that.
We agree?
Wholehearted.
All favor? No, I won't say that I'm a student of history in a sense, because I know friends who are not only avid historians academically, but they actually recall and remember. We joke sometimes with people in the studio. They tell us about something that may have transpired 3, 4, 500 years ago, and they say it in such a way that we can't resist. We go, and you were there when it happened, right? Well, we weren't there. So collectively, our 3-year ages added together won't come to 175, I don't think.
No, 170.
170.
Yeah.
Miss Norma, you told me 175. All right, 170.
Yeah.
But I guess she was anticipating. So we're going to be telling you what we're talking about. We're going to allow, invite Miss Maxine, Bodden, and Miss Ida to join us. Thank you all. I had a fantastic discussion. I think led, facilitated, and inspired by Miss Lucille Seymour. And that excitement resonates in that we live in such a wonderful place with great people that we can embrace and celebrate and enjoy and recognize. And sometimes, kind of like, we don't. The early discussion on I call it the Turtle Farm, so the Turtle Center, knowing that their body of research over the decades informs the world's knowledge on green sea turtles in particular, and yet here we don't see that as being important. But if you're an academic looking for accurate information, peer-reviewed research, you know where to go. So we see that. So, Miss Maxine, could we start with you first? How are you, Mom?
Of course, I'm very well.
So 170 years. Not your age.
Not my age yet.
Okay.
No, not yet.
Well, I hope that if you desire that your heart will be, permitted to enjoy 170 years with an active, engaged mind and body. How about that?
I agree with that wholeheartedly.
There we go, Mom.
Absolutely. But thank you very much for having us today. And thanks to Radio Cayman. We wanted to come on, Saida and myself. We are part of a committee at Webster Memorial United Church in Bodden Town, which will be very familiar to, I think, all persons out there. As if you ever drive through the central Bodden Town, you can't miss it, that beautiful building and buildings on either side of the main road. But we're here today to talk about the 170th celebration of Webster Memorial. Believe it or not, the oldest congregation in the Cayman Islands. And doing this, and I know why Miss Norma has said 175 because
she was there then, right?
Yeah.
Wait, that door has one way to go.
She's going to get you later. But, when you're doing these types of celebrations, you always kind of, it's on that fifth type thing, the 50th, the 75th, the 150th.
That's what it is.
That type thing, right? That sort of resonates with a lot of people. And when we, as the elders of the church, sort of looked at this, we thought, that's the first question people are going to ask. What's happening to the 175th? Why are we doing it now? Well, it's about the celebration of the church and where we have come from as a people. And I say that not as just as the church, but as the Cayman Islands, because Christianity, and especially the movement in Cayman, really resonated and started in Bodden Town and with Presbyterians. And because we had the Anglicans come and couldn't do it, we had some others, but put that to one side for another history day. It is about celebrating the church, celebrating the district, and celebrating what Cayman is, essentially.
And what's interesting in that, sorry, Miss Ida, I was going to jump in, but you go ahead, Mom. Welcome. You want to share?
Thank you. No, I agree with Maxine. Obviously, I've been part of the congregation and the membership for about 18 years almost now. So it's educational for me as well, looking back at everything that we've dug up. And it's very inspiring, so to speak, where you're like, okay, where can it go from here?
Yeah.
You want to be able to pass it on and maintain that history within even the younger generation, not to forget where it's coming from and how far it can possibly go.
And for me, it's the fact that in some of our own homes, thank God, we have family members that are 100 years old or getting close to it, or may have been 100 and something else, right? A few years beyond. And to engage with them, to listen to them. And even though we may think that they're not quite accurate, they're recalling, well, how do we know? We weren't there.
We
right?
weren't there, exactly.
And yet, if we have engaged them over the years, we can see the consistency in their comments. And I still to share that as we look at the Cayman context, Ms. Maxine, you shared earlier, 170 years. It started in Bodden Town. We read, we understand, that's where sort of the political capital was. That was a lot of the stuff. We may understand why that was in some respects. But what is so profound is that the country, and moving forward economically and politically, 200 years ago, exhibiting a great sense of autonomy, almost quasi-independence, weaving in its own rope and, sailing in its own catboats, knowing what it wanted stability, socially and political and economically, but wanted that sense of spiritual fulfillment. And they only ask, as our history tells us, not asking you for money. We got it. We're not asking you for any. Can we have a resource that we don't have yet? Do you have any sort of ministry?
Yeah.
Amazing,
right. And that's exactly it. And that was the call that Reverend Inslee back then answered, essentially.
Yeah.
He's like, here I am, send me. And that was that's the sort of beginning of all of this, really. I mean, we have Inslee Memorial, but that came a little bit later. But he started all of this in Bodden town and got the traction going, because the people at the time, when you read the history books, and specifically, we talked about Harwell at the beginning.
Yes.
But his dad, historian himself, and we have the benefit of one of the books that he wrote before his passing, and he was involved with writing another one, unfortunately, when he passed. But just a history of that, and going back in time and thinking, wow, these people were starved. Our people living in Cayman were starved for that aspect of where is God in their life. And that's where we kind of come to today with this 170th. Where is God in our lives? We know in Cayman we talk about Christianity and everything has that religious underlying something, right? What we go back to as a people. But in reality, are we living that in our lives? So that's why we're celebrating 170 and not waiting till 175, because we see a need for that in our community. But we also want to celebrate what we as a people have achieved through faith.
Yeah. And I think, aside as Maxine is sharing, if we look at our seafarers, our parents in many cases, but our fathers specifically, uncles and brothers and grandfathers, not just the seafarers' prayer, but we know that they went to sea, they were prayerful at sea, they assembled for Sunday service. It was a realization of life and an appreciation for it and a willingness to seek protection. So to me, it goes hand in hand. And as you shared beside it, how then do we now take what is now and say, let's not wait until tomorrow. No one has promised tomorrow. Yeah. With a vision of people perish, they say. The spirituality, the Christianity, to whatever else that we sort of aspire to. If we take it out of our parliament and politics, if we take it out of our schools, evil prevails when we sit down and let idiots lead. But sorry, Miss Saida, what are you saying?
I'm agreeing with you because like you said, time waits for no one, and what better than educate now, while we can, because if we don't pass it on, who's gonna be there? And I mean, let's be frank. Young people nowadays, it takes so much just to get their attention, specifically with something like this, because it's not in their interest until they get much older. By that time, who's going to be around? So.
But is it then, and as I mean, anything that is good and gets an opportunity to celebrate an anniversary, your birthday, your, whatever that thing is that is a good thing, it needs to be cherished. It needs to be not just commemorated in a way that you can look at and appreciate, but in a way that others can be inspired. So our young people, they're bombarded by a lot of things that make no sense, and we facilitate it. They're presented with things that are so attractive and luring. They're young, they don't know no better. Not that I won't ask you for a response, but I wonder, in the Cayman context, our churches and their presentation and our invitation and all these other things, to what extent we're reaching them to see two young people like the three young people like us.
Yes, absolutely, of course.
who embrace that with a consciousness, who recognize a sinfulness, but who are anticipating a salvation. We do it with joy.
Yes.
And yet our young people are so deceived sometimes, who are so despondent, partly because we're dishonest as leaders.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And we do have to recognize our shortcomings as human beings in general. But it doesn't mean we abdicate the roles, essentially, that God has put us here for.
That's all.
And we must recognize that. And, it could be the simplest thing or the greatest thing. taking your kid to Sunday school. What's happened to Sunday school these days?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, speaking from, I don't want to get into the great conversation of religion because we could be here for a long time. But as interesting and as great as it is, but, you know, again, this is part of why we're doing this. A lot of things have changed in our world. And it seems we're all searching for something. Things have changed in the church. I mean, looking back, one of I'll call her a descendant of one of our members who passed away some years ago now, managed to dig out the 50th anniversary booklet of the church. And there is a picture in there with me at Girls Brigade and in the front pew of the church. But the church is bursting at the seams with people. It's bursting at the seams with, you know, the kids at Sunday school, Girls Brigade, Boys Brigade. Things that today we're really struggling to hold on to. And the question is why? What are we looking for?
Yeah. Miss Maxine, I love it. I mean, you set this joke up so nicely. I just want to make sure my number is correct. I have the spreadsheet in front of me. We're talking about the 170th anniversary. You just said we were celebrating the 50th anniversary of the church, and you were there, right? I mean, help me that
I know, but I'm not old yet. I was a little person in that front pew. You believe yourself.
I'm just kidding. No, but this is where, you know, for 170 years, the Presbyterian Church has been here. We're watching, you know, and for many of us, you and your family, you've been a very, very instrumental part. You've been committed, devoted, and a member. Sadly, you talked about 18 years as part of the church. So if I do my math correctly, well, that was at least 18 years ago. I won't go no further. It's amazing to have that sort of staying power.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is. I mean, I was lucky enough to be brought in, and my kids are actually being raised in the church as well, you know. So, like I said, it starts from the home, actually, you know. So you do your part and you pray to God you're doing it right. And make them take on the torch and stuff like that. So, you know, I want them to be able to see, well, my mom is being part of this, so they could see the importance of it for them, so that they too can carry it forward. Right. So,
ladies, we are told we have a caller joining us on our WhatsApp. We take the call, sir, on the WhatsApp. Let's go to the phone. So welcome. We have Miss Maxine and Miss Ida as we're talking about the 170th anniversary of the Presbyterian Church, right?
Yeah, Webster Memorial.
And Webster more in particular. Hey, welcome. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, good afternoon again, Dwayne.
Hey, welcome back again.
Yeah, good afternoon to you guests.
Good afternoon.
Just especially as parents, but as individuals, we need to help people to seek God and find Him, find God, and know God's will for our lives, whether they're your children or not. In that way, we will not be living in confusion. Thank you very much.
All right, man. Thank you too for sharing that. And well, Miss Maxine.
Yeah, I think the caller is absolutely spot on. Yeah. It's you know, and in many ways, as we said earlier, this is our history. What we grow with, we need to pass on those things to the next generation.
Well, 170. I want to tell us a bit of, we got 5 minutes or so. Yeah. So I'm so excited to be in your company and so, you know, not just invigorated, but enthused and, you know, positive, expectant of what's happening. So tell us.
Yeah, so, let's jump right to the sort of schedule of events. I think it's probably the easiest thing for now. And if you'll indulge us, we'll come back on and discuss a few more as the time goes on.
Of course.
But
I think you have access.
Oh, well, absolutely. Thank you, Ms. Norma. But during the month of May, we are celebrating that the entire month is the month of celebration. And we've chosen May because we don't, of all the research we've done, including what Mr. Harry McCoy had done previously, we couldn't find an exact date. So it's close enough that May kind of was that anniversary
Mhm.
month, at least,
Yes, ma'am.
of the beginning of Webster. So during the entire month, and we're starting off, and we're trying to do different things, and we're going to work with Miss Mary Lawrence and pulling together artifacts, etc. So we start off with a prayer breakfast on that first Saturday of May. Then we'll do the launch service, and we'll have, because of course the church, United Church, is part of it's Jamaica and the Cayman Islands. We'll have the moderator and the General Secretary of Synod, who will be joining us for some of those events as well, and bringing the message and greetings from Jamaica. Within that, a communion service. We're going to have a fun day, so a beach day barbecue, and get the kids, the families out, having fun and utilizing Coldwood Beach, because again, about Bodden Town.
Yeah, the community.
Exactly. And we've, as a church, we've had events there previously, and it's wonderful when people will just come and join us. People say, oh, well, there are too many people on the beach, and what are they up to? But whenever we have events, it's wonderful. The community comes out. Whoever's on the beach. We're going to, obviously, the youth is a large part of this.
Mm-hmm.
And I always like to say, instead of saying the youth is the future, the youth is today. So it's a very large part of what we're working on at Webster, of making sure the youth are involved. Dedicated, every third Sunday of the month is a youth Sunday, plus other involvement always with the youth. And as I mentioned, with that historical display, we're hoping to have a week of that in the church hall. People can come and enjoy and see. And a large part of that is trying to connect back to all the various families that have either lived in Bodden Town, have descended from Bodden Town, who might be overseas and don't even know the connections. It's weird, because I'll share with you really quickly. My mom brought to me yesterday the booklet of all the persons who were honored in 2003 for the quincentennial. And you'd be amazed when you read just the blurbs of those people in there, how many of them are connected to Bodden Town.
Mm-hmm.
So if just because your last name might be Ebanks now doesn't mean you descended from West Bay. That type thing.
That might be under obsession.
Yeah. I know I was going to get you with that one.
I know.
And then, we'll do a closing service. But in there, it's fellowship, it's remembering, it's sharing, it's community, there's faith, all of that, bringing that together. Which is what Bodden Town is. What Bodden Town is.
And this is the beautiful part, Sarah?
Well, I couldn't have said it better than she did. It makes you look forward to what's to come. What we'll be able to implement and stuff like that. And again, not just educate ourselves, but everyone who's forgotten their ties to Bodden Town, or even as you grow up, you may change church congregation, but somehow, in some way, shape, or form, you or some family member was tied to where it all began.
I love the fact that, as you shared, the resonating sort of spirit, community. As Maxine, you talked about, whenever you have anything at the Coldwood Beach, it's the community. You're focusing on the youth, because I agree with you. The youth are not just the future; they're the now, the present. As I listen to you, I'm asking us to be mindful of our history, heritage, our culture, ethos, that thing that makes us who we are. Train up a child in the way he should go, right? And even if we go astray, we no longer attend church, we find something else. Those values, virtues, the things that we try to instill in our children, the goodness, the kindness, the honesty, the integrity, no matter if we end up in politics or we ended up in something else, that core of being good will always be evident, whether we wish, to follow it. And I think that's where the world is lacking, that love. You've inspired me in many ways, and I think as much as I would joke and jest before and say, I'm a Caymanian by birth in the West Bay by grace, very consciously in the last few months I thought, how do we build unity?
Yes.
By, so we can respect the fact that as Bodden Towners, we can have this historical pride, as East Enders, North Enders, Georgetowners, West Bayers, Cayman Brackers, and everybody else. But what do we have that is the unifying thing? We're Caymanian.
Yeah.
And to those of us who have been here generations, who've only been here decades, who maybe, just recently are expecting.
Correct. That
this is
Caymanian is vast.
That's vast.
Yes.
And if we don't do that thing that brings us together, we will forever be divided. So that fellowship the church brings, celebrating 170 years, the notion that we come together as one, respecting our individual differences, but being united by the beauty of our shared experiences.
The grace of God, yes.
the faith.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's the faith.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, as I sit across, and Miss Maxine is so eloquent, it's probably her legal training and the like, but I think she would agree with me, Miss Ida, to listen to you, to hear the parlance, to hear the sincerity, the genuineness, the heart, the intonations, the colloquialisms, reminds me that I'm not anywhere other than in Cayman.
Yes.
And yet I can look at you and celebrate, why it is good.
It's a wonderful thing, isn't
It
it?
is a wonderful thing. And I hope that we have both of you or as many others who wish to to share with us.
We do have quite a large and growing committee of anywhere from 10 to 15 at any one time doing different things for the various events. We also have sponsorship because obviously it takes to run the program some money to do that as usual. But, if anyone wants to reach out to assist in any way, whether that's monetarily, in kind, or just want to touch base, you're all invited. Always, doors are always open at Webster Memorial in any which way, shape, or form, and we would love to have you.
Yeah.
Only if you wish, Miss Ida. Any other thoughts?
Well, I'm just hoping that everyone can just be hands-on. Obviously, this is a very commemorative event, not just for Bodden Town, the church, but Cayman Islands as a whole. So we're hoping that everyone can just join in and, just be able to enjoy the moment, basically, And it's hard work. Maxine, I have to give her a lot of credit, with her investigative work. She's done so much, so I have to call her out for that, but thank you all for giving us the time here.
You're most welcome. Thank you for recognizing and commending what she does. And this is where I think increasingly all of us need to look and just share with each other and hold each other up. And, last season, a very good friend reached out to me, call. And men don't seem to do this as often as our female friends do. And to see us call, no reason, not looking at anything, just, hey, how you doing? And an hour and two later, just a great conversation about stuff. That's fellowship. That's the visiting modern day as opposed to what we did in the past. Miss Lucille talked about the absence of a television. Now, to me, that's a great thing because that means that maybe we will talk more. Not that it's a bad thing in itself, but that fellowship. And I think the two of you have not necessarily exuded the importance of fellowship. You've reminded us of the importance of drawing close to each other. So thank you very much.
No, thank you guys very much.
Looking forward to having you back on.
Absolutely.
170. Man, I'll be celebrating my birthday, hopefully, at 170 with an agile, avid mind, with a resourcefulness and spring in my step, a functioning, well, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's all to be good.
If you would allow me, I will give a shout out quickly to one of our members. Miss Laurel Watler celebrated her 100th birthday yesterday. It was also my parents' wedding anniversary of 50 years. So yesterday was an incredibly special day. But Miss Laurel, God bless you with health and strength for many more years.
Thank God. Thank you for doing that because those are the commemorative moments that you remind. I mean, my uncle and aunt, living to be 100 plus. We've got people in our communities. We just need to do, as Miss Lucille said, draw on them and benefit. Ladies, thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having us again.
Have some good things on tap tomorrow for our talk show, and we invite you to be a part of it. But live in the moment now. Give thanks. Don't seek immediate gratification, but enjoy and celebrate what you have now as you look with hopeful expectation as to what tomorrow brings, and ask yourself, can you give more, than you're taking? Billy Joel saying, if you take, you'll have nothing left, right? So we'll quote him another time, but there's so much to say.
Yes.
Just so inspired. All right. That's it for me. See you tomorrow, God's willing. Be blessed.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. And Cayman Airways. Call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And now, Barbados. And Digicel, Cayman's bigger, better network. And Doctors Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctors Hospital, always there for you. Call 949-6066.